Hello, I'm Paul Zaychuk. Today we're going to do a 6 analysis of a side kick. Please look at the first 5 analysis. Let's take a look at the supporting leg. The supporting leg is not turned out. The knee of the supporting leg looks slightly bent. Now that is an adaptation beginners do sometimes to get the pelvis to tilt more. In other words, if the leg is not turned out properly and the pelvis still needs to be tilted because the kicking leg abducted as much as possible and there's no more movement, bending that supporting knee a little bit will allow for the pelvis to tilt laterally a little bit more. In other words, her right hip would be able to come up just a little bit more if she bends the supporting knee slightly. If this is done many times or it's done with a lot of force, over time there can be damage to the structures of the knee. Why is she not turning out? The possible reasons are she's lacking flexibility to turn the leg out. In other words, the muscles that turn the leg in are too tight, the adductors are too tight, maybe her medial hamstring is too tight, maybe her pectineus is too tight. Doesn't have to be all of those muscles, can be just some. Perhaps she has the flexibility but she doesn't have the strength to do it, so her deep 6 lateral rotators may not have the strength, or her gluteus maximus may not have the strength to turn out. The third option is she has the flexibility and the strength to turn out, but nobody taught her the proper technique. The whole focus was on the kicking leg and not the supporting leg, so she doesn't know she's supposed to turn out. Now let's take a look at the kicking foot. You could see that is not exactly properly positioned, and that is very easy to adjust. You can work on the foot positioning without having to lift the leg. You can do a kick on the floor, very easy to adjust the foot position. But if the foot position is not proper, then the force will not transfer properly either from the person into the target. Now let's take a look at the kicking leg. The kicking leg is almost properly turned in, which is good, turned in at the hip. Is she abducting at the kicking leg to the maximum? It's hard to tell without actually measuring it. But because she's a beginner, I would assume that on a kicking leg, she probably doesn't have the strength to abduct in short range. And now looking at the torso. The torso is falling away from the kick. Again, is it the strength issue? Is this a flexibility issue? Is this an awareness issue? Awareness is good, but only if strength and flexibility are present. In other words, an instructor can come in and say, hey, keep your body up, and demonstrate how to keep the body up, and even help a student to keep the body up. But if the strength and flexibility are not there, they're not going to be able to get there all the way. They're not going to be able to hold that. So if I'm testing her for her trunk flexibility, I would ask her to bend laterally, probably in standing position so that she bends laterally into gravity or down. This way we're not relying on her strength to lift her body up. From there I would see what angle of lateral flexion does she have. Is she bending more from the thoracic spine, more from the lumbar spine? Is there room to bend more? If I find that there is lack of flexibility, of course I'm going to work on that. So the muscles on the upside of the kick are tight. This means that it could be quadratus lumborum, could be extensors of the spine, could be obliques, could be rectus abdominis, maybe all of them, maybe some of them. Now with Zaychuk stretching techniques, I can actually pinpoint the muscle and work on that. I don't have to stretch all the muscles at the same time, especially if she does not need that. And once flexibility is there, then we can work on short range strength. As I said many times, short range strength is difficult to develop because the muscles like to contract in the medium range. In long range or short range, they're weaker, and the strength in those ranges is more difficult to develop. So you can understand how important it is for the opposing muscles not to pull. In other words, if the muscles on the left side of the body are pulling her trunk down and gravity is pulling her trunk down, the muscles on the right side of the body that are laterally flexing to the right, very difficult for them. Gravity is always going to be there, but lack of flexibility does not have to be there. So the way her kick is right now, I would not try to increase the height of that kick. I would first correct her kick, make sure that she's kicking at that level with proper technique before working on increasing her height. If you're interested in developing your kicks, take a look at elasticsteel.com. I'm Paul Zaychuk. Thank you for watching.